Good afternoon. Late afternoon to everybody out there. Listen, it was a big day for Breakthrough Ideas, and so I just wanted to come here live and explain to you what happened. Maybe you folks don't know, but in March of 2024, Breakthrough Ideas was asked to join a lawsuit to sue the State Board of Elections for their list maintenance activity or their lack of list maintenance activity. And so we did that. And Judicial Watch are our lawyers. They're the ones who have teed up the case. And originally, Judicial Watch was part of the case. Carol Davis, as part of Illinois Conservative Union, was part of the case. And so was Illinois Family Action and Breakthrough Ideas. Now, this case is really important because the first hurdle that we had to overcome after multiple dismissal requests by the State Board of Elections was whether or not we had standing. And just today, the judge in the case, and I'll read from an email from Bob Popper, who is with Judicial Watch and is the man that I talk to frequently about the case and what it's going. He said that Judge Ellis actually made a statement saying that she is going to include Breakthrough Ideas and Illinois Family Action in this as having standing for this case to proceed. Now, she had already kicked out Illinois Conservative Union, saying they did not have standing, and then she just kicked out a Judicial Watch, dismissed them from the case. But both Illinois Family Action and our organization will go forward as having standing in a case that says whether or not political organizations can actually mandate that there be list maintenance done. And this is a big deal because the only other time that this has happened was, I think, yesterday in a California case. So we're really kind of setting precedents here for actually having political organizations have standing in ensuring that the voter lists are maintained. And this will have far ramifications in other states, in other cases that are similar. Now, it is also interesting that the DOJ, Trump's DOJ, has come in and they have issued a letter to the State Board of Elections asking for much of the same information that we are saying in our own lawsuit proves that they are not maintaining the list. And so they have come in what they call a statement of interest in our case. They have issued a statement of interest in our case so that the State Board of Election will now have to respond directly to the DOJ. And it appears that quite possibly the DOJ may actually put up their own lawsuit against the State Board of Elections for not maintaining their lists. Now, I do appreciate the fact this gets sort of complicated in many respects, and Capital News Illinois wrote a very good lengthy article about this on July 23rd, 2025, just a couple days ago. And they noted that they noted about the statement of interest. That was one thing. And they said that what needs to happen, the basis for this suit is that a provision of the NVRA, the National Voter Registration Act, requires states to conduct a general program that makes a reasonable effort to remove names of ineligible voters from the official list of eligible voters if they have died or changed their address, or it could be for other reasons, maybe conviction, but that's more rare. Our complaint cites federal regulations that require each state's chief election officer to submit various kinds of election-related data to the Election Assistance Commission, including the total number of registrations statewide that were, for whatever reason, deleted from the registration list between the past two federal general elections. So they have to do this on a biannual basis. The Election Commission collects that data and publishes these biennial reports that are delivered to the Congress. Now, in doing this list maintenance, the State Board of Elections can say, well, we have local people who do this for this. But what they can't say is they can't just simply delegate it all to the local level. They still have to have a process, and they have to have the data behind that process to prove that they are doing list maintenance, voter list maintenance. That obviously wasn't happening. Here's some of the information that was really alarming, and it should be to everybody. According to the complaint, which is our complaint. The commission's reports indicated that much of the required information from Illinois was missing. For example, from November of 2020 through November of 2022, 11 counties reported removing 0 voters from the registration list, suggesting that no registered voters had moved or died in those counties over the 2-year period. 12 other counties reported moving 15 or fewer registrations over that same period. That is absolutely absurd. It's an absurdly small number given that in those 23 counties, they're home to more than 980,000 registered voters. Does anybody believe that apparently in 19 of those counties, actually, nobody died and nobody was therefore removed from the voter list? Of course not. So what it tells you outrightly is that the Illinois State Board of Elections, which honestly, when it comes to campaign compliance stuff, they're actually a very, very good agency. They actually answer your questions. So for them to have possibly just simply delegated this to a local level is completely wrong. And hopefully they will get it right, because they do a pretty good job in other respects. So additionally, I wanted to read from this because this actually is part of the letter that was sent to the executive director, Bernadette Matthews, from the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. And in this letter, it notes, this is really good. It says, in response to particular questions, nearly 1/3 of Illinois counties, 32 counties total, reported that they did not send out any confirmation notices. Now, those confirmation notices go out to voters that are potentially ineligible, and they're supposed to send them. And you may have gotten them at your own home when they notice that, for example, maybe your kids have moved on, they haven't voted in a while, and then they'll send a confirmation notice. So in 32 counties, almost 1/3 of the counties, they didn't send out any confirmation notices to anybody. That just doesn't make sense. Despite the fact, though, that nearly 1/3 of the counties did not respond to question A10A, which was about sending these notices out, Illinois reported that it sent out over 3.8 million confirmation notices, which comprised 46.9% of all registered voters. The national average is 19.5%. So you can see we're way outside of the norm on all of this. None of this data makes sense whatsoever. And the institutions themselves, the state board and local election officials, should understand that. Okay, a review of county level data accompanying the most recent report indicates that in response to another question, 16 counties in Illinois reported that the number of confirmation notice they sent was more than 100% of all the registered voters. Well, you don't send these notices to all registered voters. So somebody's not doing the process right. You can tell that from all the information coming in. Also, in response to 2 questions, I'm not going to go into detail with those. Illinois reported that it had over 2.3 million results of confirmation notices that were not categorized, meaning it wasn't for death, it wasn't for a move, which was 62.3% of all confirmation notices sent. The national average on that is 17.8%. Again, we're way outside of the norm on collecting this data and then categorizing the data correctly. Here's another one. Illinois reported that it had 258,976 voters removed for a reason described as other, comprising 25.8% of all confirmation notices sent. The national average on that, 3.7%. Again, just another thing that tells you whatever we're doing in terms of list maintenance, 1, we're not doing it. 2, there's no process used across the entire state to do it correctly. And 3, every single thing that we are reporting on is outside the norm. We're just not doing the process correctly. And so, this is a big deal. I think people should pay attention to it. I'm glad Capital News Illinois wrote this article about it. We'll post it up if we didn't already on our website. We'll repost it after this video because it explains things in more depth. But I just want to get back to you today and tell you that this morning, for Breakthrough Ideas, it was a big deal that Judge Ellis in our Judicial Watch lawsuit found that both Breakthrough Ideas and Illinois Family Action has standing as political organizations to mandate that the state actually maintain its voter list in accordance with the National Voter Registration Act. So big win for us. Thanks a lot for joining me on this shorter Facebook Live.